Every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is a story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello and thank you for joining us on CoreTV Primetime News. I am Ebulomo Adekunle in a major story. The impeachment drama rocking Enugu State moves to Niger State. Also in this program, the National Broadcast Commission and Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria say the June deadline for digitization of broadcasting in Nigeria is no longer feasible. Fiscal Responsibility Commission appeals against plans to scrap it, asks for tougher laws. And outside Nigeria, British political leaders make last-minute push for vote on the last day of campaigning for the British elections. Speaker of Niger State House of Assembly Adamu Usman has been impeached by 18 of 27 members, with Isa Kau of Bida 1 state constituency elected new speaker. Activities at the State House of Assembly were halted following the sealing up of the Niger State House of Assembly complex by a combined team of police and operatives of the Department of State Services, allegedly in a bid to stop threats by members of the Assembly to impeach the state's governor, Babangida Aliyu. The Assembly members, however, defied the presence of the armed security men and forced their way into the Assembly complex after damaging the chain used by unlocking the gate. The police officer, a deputy superintendent of police, however, said he was not with the keys of the gate. After about an hour, the maids arrived and the House settled down for plenary with 19 out of the 25 members of the Assembly present. Following the absence of the Speaker, Adamu Usman, for plenary, as agreed during the executive meeting on Monday, members of the House, Abdullahi Akwano, representing Agaye constituency, drew the attention of the House to Order 8 of the House Standing Rules, which provides that in the absence of the Speaker from the House without any reason, a Speaker pro tempore be appointed to enable the proceeding of the House. Consequently, a motion was moved by the member representing Boso constituency, Usman Dada, for the appointment of a Speaker pro tempore, and this was seconded by another member. Jacob Magi Ghana, representing Lavin constituency, added that the absence of the leadership of the House had caused them some level of embarrassment and therefore moved for the removal of the leadership. Adamu Usman, the embattled Speaker of the Niger State House of Assembly, has described his purported impeachment as unconstitutional, illegal, null and void, and of no effect. Briefing journalists shortly after his impeachment at the NUJ Press Center, Mina, the former Speaker, who was accompanied by his impeached deputy, Abdurrahman Bala Gambo, and other impeached principal officers of the House, insists that he is still the Speaker of the Niger State House of Assembly. The embattled Speaker claims that the leadership of the House has done everything possible to let the executive realize that the House needs funds to keep the business of the House going, but because of the economic situation in the country, nothing has been done. Besides this, the Speaker disclosed that there was a court injunction from the State High Court signed by the Chief Judge, Justice Fatih Lamin Abubakar, restraining the defendants, 21 other members, jointly and severally from setting in motion any process of impeachment pending the determination of the motion of notice. On his reaction, the alleged impeachment threat on Governor Aliyu Adamu says what it means now is that the governor, Muazu Babangida Aliyu, should get himself prepared because he advises him beforehand on this matter. So anything that comes out of it, he should get prepared. Meanwhile, the newly elected Speaker of the Niger State House of Assembly, Issa Kawu, has spoken out on the impeachment of the former Speaker, Adamu Usman. It says his impeachment has nothing to do with the state governor, but as a result of his losing the confidence of his colleagues.
We would want what has happened to be put aside. We have already demanded that the security be cleared, so that we'll have access to the House. Go ahead with the House business. We have laws and motions to treat. And I think from today...
A solidarity march to the government house of the people of Enugu State has demonstrated once again their earnest love for their state's governor, Sullivan Chime. Same group who had earlier protested at the State House of Assembly against the impeachment of the governor say they are solidly behind Governor Sullivan and his entire cabinet, come rain, come sunshine. Our correspondent Ajibade Awufeso has more in this report.
The group stormed the government house in a large number as they waved placards with various captions reflecting their support for Governor Sullivan Chime. The leader of the group and the Enugu State PDP women leader, Obi Nwofo, gave the purpose of the visits.
We don't want him to think that what the people are doing in the House of Assembly, that is Enugu people. No way. We are not with them. And anybody that associating with the man that is doing this thing, he is not with Enugu State.
Deputy Governor, who received the people in absence of the governor, appreciates the people's love and support for the governor as he assures them victory at last.
Chinedu Nwamba is the new Speaker of Enugu State. And the state government and PDP as a party is in support of him. What His Excellency and Executive has done is through the channels of the constitutional system of this nation.
While back at the Opera Square, the people of Enugu said they will continue the struggle until victory is attained. On the other hand, the impeached speaker, while addressing newsmen in his residence at the Gates Estate by the Gates Hotels, dismissed the impeachment as a laughable one, saying the impeachment is not in favor of the people.
What actually is happening and in Enugu now for me amounts to impunity. As an arm of government cannot grant an arm of government. And by the time people thought it would look as if we are talking so much, you cannot grant an arm of government. The heavy police presence there, I mean, belittles what democracy represents. And it is our hope that the IG of police, we are making unnecessary arrangements to get it about. But we have to, of course, even in making arrangements, we don't have to take laws into our hands.
It is also interesting to know that as of the time we were talking to him, his security and official vehicle has been withdrawn. Ajibade Awofeso, CoreTV News, Enugu.
Following the ongoing political impasse in Enugu State leading to the current impeachment move against the governor, Sullivan Chime, concerned Enugu indigents across the state have started reacting. They faulted the actions of the governor, promising to do everything humanly possible to ensure the governor does not go indicted. Our correspondent Ajibade Awufeso has the details in this report.
According to a legal practitioner, Lucky Chuku, the ongoing face-off between the executive and the legislative arm of government is a total fiasco in our democracy. Chuku said a situation where one arm of the government tries to ground the other is totally out of the provision of the Constitution.
Naira in less than 2 months to leave office. That somebody is parcellating lands in Enugu State, selling the lands to his cronies, his brothers and sisters. That somebody wanted to sell water corporation that was not even listed for concession, that is not backed by any law. I mean, there are a lot of impunities going on in Enugu State, and it has to be addressed.
It's quite laughable because every well-meaning Nigerian knows that even the 8 members that are playing the script of somebody, when the person they say is leading the 7 members couldn't raise a singular issue against the speaker, I'm happy the media is on their feet now because they address the speaker as the authentic speaker and the other one as the purported speaker because they know what is happening. Yesterday, the NTA made clear to everybody that even the mess they used was not the correct mess. So why should we involve ourselves in this type of impunity?
As the political storm continues in Enugu State and the fate of many yet to be determined, only time will tell whose side the victory will fall. Ajibade Awofeso, CoreTV News, Enugu.
Former Commonwealth Secretary General Emeka Anyalku is concerned about the expectations of Nigerians from the incoming government. He expressed this concern to journalists shortly after a courtesy call on President-elect Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja. The former Commonwealth Secretary General also spoke on the recent execution of Nigerians in Indonesia for drug offences. He described the situation as worrisome and argued that Nigeria and Indonesia should have resolved the issue on the basis of the smooth mutual relationship they enjoy.
And I also told him that I believe that the high expectations are based first on the promises he made during the campaigns to the people, but more importantly on the general perception of his character. He is perceived as a man with a very strong sense of discipline, a man who is truly averse to corruption, a man whose lifestyle has been frugal, not ostentatious or opulent, and above all, a man with a very strong commitment to the welfare of the masses. I believe that his administration, if his administration reflects these qualities, that the country's challenges and problems will be effectively tackled.
President-elect Muhammadu Buhari has instructed police and military security personnel attached to him to always respect traffic regulations during his movements. In a statement released by his media team in Abuja, Buhari said his administration would be guided by provisions of the law. The president-elect explained that the arrogance of power, lawlessness and disregard for the rights of other road users would have no place in his government. Buhari lamented a situation where fellow citizens are punished at traffic points and public roads because of what it termed arrogant lawlessness of the leaders. It's the CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take a break and we'll be back with more stories. Don't go away.
Any tribe that rules has solid rules.
Rule number 1, friends stay close. Friends in the tribe, stay closer. Feel me?
Rule number 2, in the tribe, you always know what's up with Facebook, WhatsApp, Phoebe, and Twitter. Guess what? It's free.
Rule number 3, there are no rules with SMS. It's endless. Yes, boss.
Rule number 4, enjoy very long conversations with that special someone.
Enjoy endless connections to your friends with free calls, free WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, and BBM. You also enjoy up to 200% bonus on your recharges to call all networks. Migrate now by dialing *312# on Start Alive. Endless connections.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Thank you for being there with us. And if you're just joining us, it's the CoreTV Primetime News, and here are major stories. The impeachment drama rocking Enugu State moves to Niger State. The National Broadcasting Commission and Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria say the June deadline for digitization of broadcasting in Nigeria is no longer feasible. Fiscal Responsibility Commission appeals against plans to scrap it, asks for tougher laws. And for more on CoreTV News, you can visit our social media platforms. On Facebook, facebook.com/CoreTV News. Our Twitter handle @CoreTV News NG. And for videos on YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV with a space the news. The People's Democratic Party for some time now has been trading blames over the party's defeat at the March 28th presidential elections, thus raising fighting in the party. And the question remains, is post-mortem necessary at this time? Oluwaseyi Adegoke has more in this report.
The National Working Committee of the PDP has nailed the party's defeat to hate campaign against the President-elect Muhammadu Buhari. According to this PDP chieftain, some issues should not be termed as hate campaign.
Whenever an issue is raised, we should tell the man who is alleged to come and defend himself, especially when the person who has alleged has been able to assert. It is now, the body will now be on the man who has been alleged to come and prove otherwise. But for us to begin to say that hate campaign, it never contributed to the failure of President Goodluck Jonathan or PDP.
Some sections of the PDP are now calling for the sack of members of the National Working Committee, especially the chairman of the party, Adamu Muazu.
There are weighty allegations. Some governors are saying that they have cogent evidence showing that he actually worked against the president. If that was the case, then he must account for his loyalty. It means that for him to even continue as the national chairman, the party is not in safe hands at all.
The chieftain believes it is time for the party to form a formidable opposition to the incoming administration.
I think what is more important for us now is to go back to our drawing board and see how we can regain power instead of festering acrimony within the system.
The Lagos PDP Publicity Secretary gives assurance that the party will manage its internal crisis and bounce back as Nigeria's leading party come 2019. Oluwaseyi Adegoke, CoreTV News, Lagos.
The National Broadcasting Commission says the June 2015 deadline for Nigeria's digital switchover is no longer feasible. This, according to NBC Director General Emeka Mba, is as a result of inadequate funding from the federal government. Mba was speaking at the 23rd General Assembly of the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria in Abuja. Pius Samuel reports.
Nigeria's broadcasters have converged on Abuja for the 63rd General Assembly of the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria. The event also coincides with the first international summit on digital broadcasting in the country. For the NBC, it is a good platform to inform media owners and practitioners on the successes and challenges of the transition to digital transmission. The Commission expressed worries over the delay in switchover and concluded that the June 2015 deadline is no longer feasible.
The process has started. When it will end is a function of the amount of funding we get to conclude the process. But we have started the process. As you know, our country is challenged right now by severe economic problems. But we are looking at this, to find ways in which we can get funding to drive this process. I would say that we will only switch off when we have a large majority of Nigerians having access and there's availability of set-top boxes and all the other devices that are needed to get digital television.
Nigeria's broadcasters are also concerned about content. They maintained that the industry can only thrive in a digital world if the content is good.
You cannot have a television transmission, a television program without content. Content is king. In this new digital era, this digital ecosystem we're talking about, content is king. If you don't have content, I switch you off. I go on to somebody who has exciting content. That's what it's about.
Some participants also shared their views on the digitization process.
Well, I think this is what we need to decide. One of the reasons why we have this summit is to decide what are the areas that we need to look at and what are the issues that we need to put on the table to decide. And I think the summit will provide some of these answers.
For now, NBC says terrestrial signals will continue for Nigerians who cannot afford to get digital or set-top boxes until the final transition to full digitization. Pius Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The Fiscal Responsibility Commission is appealing against plans to scrap the agency in line with the recommendation of the Presidential Committee on Restructuring of Federal Government Parastatals. It is rather seeking stronger laws to make it operate more efficiently. Acting Chairman of the Commission, Victor Murako, said in Abuja that a strong fiscal responsibility agency is necessary for a successful war against corruption in the public service. He spoke at a press conference ahead of the forthcoming National Forum on Fiscal Responsibility slated to hold next week.
The best way to fight corruption is by prudency, fiscal efficiency, bringing about a stronger fiscal responsibility agency, not just at the national level, but also to encourage the governors. Let it be like a wild wind. Let that regime of fiscal efficiency get down to the states. Because, like we stated here, how governors are plunging their states into debt. This was last year. We've spoken up on all these issues. We are not just talking now. You find a lot of governors going to borrow money which they don't need, going into the bond, raising bond stocks, and all that. Even as we are talking, some state governors are going to borrow even with few days to the end of their tenure. What are we talking about?
The Senate has passed for second reading a bill that seeks to create an agency for the management of drought, desertification and afforestation control measures in Nigeria. It was thereafter referred to the committees on environment and agriculture for further legislative action. The bill charged National Agency for the Great Greenwall Bill 2015 was sponsored by the Senate leader Victor Ndomaegba, who noted that about 43% of Nigeria's total land area is threatened by desertification. The bill, which seeks to provide a green wall of trees from Kebbi State to Borno State to stem the southward expansion of Sahara Desert, was well received by many of the senators.
Issue and appropriation of 163,957,465,000. Say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. In Ekiti State Development Finance Institution to a total.
Going through the number of states listed here, about 11 states. The problem goes beyond the 11 states. I hold the view that even my states, and indeed the FCT, Kogi, are equally affected. Quite a number of people today, due to the high level of unemployment, people in the rural areas now embark on cutting down of trees. In Kogi State, more importantly, Mr. President, is the fact that all our areas today, all the Kogi West in particular, all the trees have been destroyed, the vegetation has been destroyed. People now trade in selling firewood, and what they do is to cut down the trees. Now you ask them, the state government made an effort some years past to stop people from falling trees in my state, but the answer is, what would they do? How would they survive? So I think more importantly, Mr. President, is the fact that poverty is another major problem, apart from the natural cause of diversification.
Future administration to take the issues of providing alternative sources of cooking for the majority of Nigerians so that we don't chop down trees.
Anything in this country that affects 43% of our total land area is serious enough. So it's irrespective of the states that have been mentioned. And not only 43% of our land area, but also 40 million Nigerians. We initiated the Great Greenwall proposal in 2005. And so many years down, 10 years down, we're just bringing the bill to a legal framework to back it. It's only a clear indication of our fire brigade approach to virtually everything. And I think this is a pity that we're doing this late.
Nigeria's military side troops have destroyed 7 additional Boko Haram camps in Sambisa forest. This brings to 20 the number of terrorist camps soldiers have overrun in recent weeks. Defense headquarters said in a statement that 25 women and children were rescued from the camps. It added that the troops had to overcome the obstacles of landmines before attacking the camps, including 4 notorious Alafa camps, Rogo Fulani and Laraga. The military authorities, however, said 4 soldiers were injured in the gun battle and had been evacuated for treatment. The Defense Headquarters has issued a statement defending the killings of people in Kadako district of Wase local government area of Plateau State. The statement said the military was responding to comments in the mainstream media and online media saying soldiers killed defenseless villagers. It said that the information released in such media is false and that a combined team of soldiers of the Special Task Force Maintaining Peace in Jos carried out an operation on May 2nd to May 3rd, 2015 to dislodge suspected militia groups sheltering in the villages. The statement added that the operations were carried out simultaneously in Kadako, Kume and Wadatan villages, all in Wase local government area of Plateau State. It said that the militia engaged the military in a shootout and said 2 suspected militias were killed while 10 were arrested with assorted weapons. The Defense Headquarters added that it became imperative for it to respond to publications accusing it of genocide just to smear its image. It added that the operation was not targeted at innocent civilians, but one aimed at apprehending the ringleaders and foot soldiers of an incubating terrorist group. Following the successful arrest of a 3-man kidnap gang and the rescue of a 62-year-old female victim, the Lagos State Police Command has called on Lagosians to be security conscious by keeping tabs on events happening around them and ensure that they report unusual activities that can breach the peace and safety of residents. Omotayalo has details.
One was sitting beside my right, and the other one was sitting. I was just, I said, why, who are you? I don't know you, I don't know you, before I know you.
Thankful to be alive to share a story, 62-year-old Kudirat Adeboye, who identified herself as a businesswoman, disclosed to the Stone audience that she was kidnapped by unknown armed men along Elekwe Expressway while preparing to purchase food items, and was held hostage by the gang for about 6 days before a rescue. The gang, whose leader by the name Niyo Moshola lost his life while fleeing arrest, struck on 16th April, demanding a 50 million naira ransom from the victim's family, who negotiated to pay 3 million before the discovery of their hideouts by the police. All the members of the gang, who were in their 20s, confessed to several kidnappings within Aja, Elemoro, Akodo and Ekpe in Lagos, and also Ijebu-Ode in Enugu State, adding that poverty drove them to criminality.
They will always put me in the bush to stay that I don't have the confidence of doing it, but they will just put me in the bush and now bring the victim to the bush just for us to look after it.
The guy that introduced me to it, the people that he works with before, I took those ones do with information, but with his own, We knows nobody, but he just try to confuse, check someone. If this one is person we can attract. So that's only what he looks.
The police public relations officer Ken Onwosu says the command is working around the clock to arrest all the fleeing members of the gang.
We see collaboration from all relevant stakeholders, the private sector, the government, the people, and all of us. It's a collective thing.
The state police spokesman, however, assured residents that the force is working to ensure that kidnapping becomes a thing of the past. Omotayualo, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Acting Inspector General of Police Solomon Arase has ordered the payment of all salaries and arrears due to a female sergeant who had been sick for some time. Ajuma Ibrahim, who until now was attached to Lagos State Command, had not been paid salaries since June 2013 that she took ill. But a popular radio talk show in Abuja focused attention on her plight and on Wednesday followed up with a live phone call to the police chief. The police confirmed in a statement that IG Arase invited the talk show crew to his office, where after due briefing from the police budget, it was discovered that she had not been paid because of her inability to fill required emolument forms. The Inspector General of Police, however, ordered the resolution of all the issues and restoration of her salary, and also ordered a transfer from Lagos to the force headquarters, Abuja. He also directed the force medical officer to ensure she gets urgent access to required medical attention. A federal high court sitting in Owerri, Imo State, has sentenced Chike Williams to 3 years in prison for dealing in petroleum products without appropriate license. Williams was arrested by men of the 34 Artillery Brigade of the Nigerian Army, Owerri, on April 8, 2012, with a truck loaded with 42 drums of petroleum product. He was subsequently handed over to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for prosecution. Trial Judge Justice O. Oguntoyinbo gave the judgment after the accused pleaded guilty to the 2-count charge of conspiracy leveled against him by the EFCC. He also ordered the convict to forfeit the petroleum product to the EFCC while the truck is released to him. Reactions have been pouring in following the announcement of about 214 pregnant women rescued by the Nigerian Army from the Boko Haram terrorist base in Sambisa. Patience Ajiboye, in interactions with Lagos residents, brings their opinion on what next for these women.
Although the Nigerian Army may have brought smiles to the faces of parents of abducted girls and Nigerians generally, the announcement, which was made by United Nations Population Fund's Executive Director, Babatunde Oshotimehin, on Sunday, that over 200 of the about 600 girls rescued from the dreaded Sambisa forest are pregnant, has become a source of worry for most Nigerians. While they savor their newfound freedom, it also comes with the added burden of having to consider the fate of their unborn children. For these Lagos residents, however, the government still has a huge role to play in ensuring that the girls are psychologically and mentally ready to get reintegrated back to the society.
And that pregnant they have, I don't understand me. Let them produce the children. I don't understand me now. So that the government can still take care of them, because those children they are fatherless.
You cannot abort the pregnancy. It's a sin. And if they have been put to bed, that child, who is going to claim the father? So let them pray to God to direct them.
As the case may be now, governments have a lot of work to do. They need to rehabilitate them. I can't advise them to get rid of the abortion. No, they should at least take care of the pregnancy. Let them give birth to the child.
Dr. Ireti Akinola, a medical practitioner, believes proper health care should be given to the girls before any further decisions are made.
Don't forget, for example, that they also need to examine these children or these women for sexually transmitted diseases, including HIV. They have to be screened. If not, they have to be given post-exposure treatment and all that. So various things will come in here.
It is no doubt a sweet and sour sort of dilemma for many Nigerians, and especially the rescued women and their parents. Their fate, however, hangs, waiting to be determined until the federal government makes the necessary moves. Patience Ajiboye, CoreTV News, Lagos.
The management of the Kaduna Electricity Distribution Company has decried the one-day strike by electricity workers in the state. The managing director, Garba Haruna, said at a news conference that the external forces were behind the workers' action. He noted that some members of the workers' union had political and selfish motive for instigating the strike.
So it's an automatic termination of contract because that's what is being signed, with the government that, look, you can remain here for a period of 6 months. So after 6 months, the new investor, they can decide whether you can perform or you cannot perform, whether you be retained or you cannot be retained. It is up to them. So this is the agreement, and the contract will terminate by the end of this month.
Take another break and we'll return with business, sports and other stories from outside Nigeria. Don't go away.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Now to business. The Federal Executive Council has approved the draft of national policy on renewable energy and energy efficiency for the country. This was one of the decisions taken at a meeting of the council presided over by President Goodluck Jonathan. Information Minister Patricia Kwashiki and her counterpart in the Ministry of Power, Professor Chinedu Nebo, said at the end of the meeting that the policy is to enable Nigeria make use of alternative power sources.
It is on record that there is no such nationally approved authoritative policy on renewable energy and energy efficiency for Nigeria. And because Nigeria is blessed with various forms of renewable energy, including vast hydropower potential, solar energy potential, biomass, wind, wave, etc. It became necessary for a policy to be formulated that will address the issues of renewable energy within the Nigerian electricity supply industry.
Today is the 5th anniversary of his being sworn in as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Exactly 6th of May, 2010, he was sworn in as President of the Federal Republic. So he came in with a joke and said, today is somebody's birthday. And we were all looking and, oh, whose birthday is it? And apparently that is what he meant, that he was, today he is 5 years as a President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And we prayed for him, and prayed for Nigeria, and prayed for everybody in council.
Nigeria's external reserves continue to deplete even as the price of crude at the international market continue to rise. By the end of last month, the nation's external reserves had declined by 14.4%, and as at April 29, 2015, the reserves had declined to $29.51 billion compared to the $34.45 billion it was as at the beginning of the year, according to figures made available on the website of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Year on year, the reserves had declined by 22.6% compared to the $38.15 billion it was on April 29, 2014. The Bankers Committee had agreed to reduce the limit on the usage of naira debit cards abroad. The decision was taken because of some cases of card abuse abroad impacting exchange rate stability. Despite the reduction in the spending limit of the usage of the naira denominated debit cards for transactions abroad, industry watchers argue that some bank customers could attempt to outwit the policy by opening several bank accounts and using the naira debit cards they will be given to make withdrawals above the limit. The initiative is expected to boost financial inclusion, as those who have typically stayed away from mainstream banking due to low literacy levels will be able to open and access their bank account using their biometric information rather than traditional identification methods. The CBN also warned all bank customers to register for their BVN by June 2015. The BVN is an initiative of the CBN and the Bankers Committee launched on February 14, 2014. Now let's join Sabena Izoku for the stock market report.
CoreTV News Stock Market Report.
Hello there and welcome to the Stock Market Report segment with me, Sabena Izoku. The equities market on the floor of the Niger Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today as the Nigerian All-Shares Index depreciated by 0.50% to close at 34,427.12 basis points. The market capitalization declined to close at 11.69 trillion naira. In all, a total volume of 473.5 million units of shares valued at 3.4 billion naira were exchanged in 5,110 deals. On the gainer side, Total topped the chart, followed by Capstone, National Salt Company of Nigeria, Vitafoam, and UPL. And on the flip side, 40 Oil topped the chart, followed by Nigerian Breweries, PZ Carson, Flour Mill, and United Africa Company of Nigeria. For the top trades, Transfield topped the chart with 144 volumes and 465 price units, followed by United Bank for Africa, Access Bank, Vitafoam, and Zenith Bank. Just before we wrap up the stock market report, here's the currency trade for today. I am Sabena Izoku.
CoreTV News Stock Market Report.
Thank you, Sabena. And to the word of sport, the English Football Association, Mr. Greg Dyke, has pledged to do everything possible to promote collaboration with the Nigerian Football Federation. Dyke spoke on Tuesday at a meeting with NFF President Amaju Pinnick at the offices of the FA at Wembley Stadium, London. At the meeting, Pinnick extolled the virtues of the FA and his admiration for the English football culture, and not for the first time spoke of his desire to build a sustainable football culture in Nigeria, telling his English counterparts that for many reasons they have every reason to want to work with Nigeria. Amaju Pinnick rounded up his visit by bringing to the notice of his English counterpart that the last time England played Nigeria in a friendly was more than 20 years ago. Dyke immediately instructed that his aide should take it up with the department managing the England national team and promised to speak to manager Roy Hodgson about it. It was agreed that should the October date not be feasible, then there should be an England-Nigeria friendly at the next available opportunity. The Nigeria Football Federation has made known the venues for all 32 matches of the round of 64 of this year's Men's Federation Cup competition, as well as the 2 first-round matches of the women's competition. A release signed by head of Federation Cup Ruth David shows that Moja Queens of Ilorin will play Golden Babes of Abakaliki in Warri, while Ogini Queens of Oshogbo will tackle Rising Queens of Akure in Ilorin. Both matches come up on Thursday, May 14th. In the men's event, the Enyimba Stadium Aba will host the clash between 8-time winners Shooting Stars of Ibadan and 1-time champions Plateau United of Jos, and 1-time winners Kaduna United and 5-time champions Enugu Rangers will trade tackles in Lokoja. The all-Bayelsa clash between Nembe City and Bayelsa United will play out at Niger Stadium, Anambra, and Giwa FC will lock horns with Kukuruku Dragons of Benin in Minna, while FC Abuja and Wiki Tourists are up for battle in Katsina. Floyd Mayweather says winners win and losers have excuses after Manny Pacquiao blamed a shoulder injury for his loss to the American in Las Vegas. Pacquiao is being sued in Nevada after being accused of lying about the shoulder injury he suffered pre-fight. The Nevada Athletic Commission, NAC, says Pacquiao, 36, did not declare the problem, but the Filipino claims a treatment plan was agreed with United States Anti-Doping Agency. He could face a fine or suspension. Pacquiao is being sued by 2 people in Nevada who have alleged the boxer defrauded ticket buyers, television viewers, and gamblers. They have opened lawsuits just hours after the NAC accused the fighter of being dishonest by not declaring his injury on a pre-fight questionnaire, which has also led to suggestions he could face a charge of perjury. The State Attorney General's office is investigating. McLaren have unveiled the first fundamentally new color scheme on their Formula One car for 18 years. The team have ditched the predominantly silver livery they have sported since 1997 in favor of graphite gray with day-glow orange highlights. It is only the second major change of color scheme for the team since 1974. A spokesman describes the new design as a dynamic predatory graphite gray coloration complemented by McLaren day-glow, Speedmax and key lines. He added that the idea was to optimize not only for bright sunshine but also for floodlight used in twilight and night rays. The livery will make its first appearance at this weekend's Spanish Grand Prix. Party leaders and candidates are making a last-ditch pitch for votes on the final day of campaigning before the general polls open. Prime Minister David Cameron said the country was stronger than it was 5 years ago, but there was more to do. Ed Miliband urged people to vote to reward hard work in the country again, while Nick Clegg said the Lib Dems would offer stability and decency. Poll suggests no party will win enough seats for an outright majority. The main party leaders have been crisscrossing the country in their battle buses as they attempt to drum up support ahead of Thursday's poll. The Prime Minister, whose Conservative Party won 307 seats in 2010, has renewed his attack on the possibility of a minority Labour government propped up by the Scottish National Party, saying it would face huge questions of credibility. A senior advisor to Burundian President Pierre Nkurunziza said the government believes the United States is not well informed about what is happening in Burundi. Willie Nyamwoti, senior presidential advisor on media and communications, accused the U.S. of meddling in Burundi's internal affairs. Burundi has been rocked by violent protests since the ruling CNDD-FDD party nominated Nkurunziza to stand for a third term in the coming June 26 presidential election. The country's constitutional court ruled Tuesday that Nkurunziza could run for a third term. Acting U.S. Deputy State Department spokesman Jeff Rathke said on Tuesday the United States believes the only way to respect both the terms of the Burundian constitution and the Arusha Agreement is for Nkurunziza not to seek a third term. Nyamwiti said the ruling party believes Nkurunziza has the right to seek another term. Meanwhile, protesters on Monday clashed again with police, leaving at least 3 dead. Dozens of people, including police officers, have been hurt. Nyamwiti said the protesters should use legal channels to address their concerns and not engage in violence. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is scheduled to hold meetings in the Horn of Africa nation of Djibouti on Wednesday, the latest stop on his foreign tour that included a stop in Somalia on Tuesday. Kerry is expected to meet with President Ismail Omar Guelleh and Foreign Minister Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, and also later with U.S. officials at the U.S. military base camp Lemonia. The U.S. military installment in Djibouti has become an important part of the U.S. military presence in the Middle East, as it lies just across the Gulf of Aden from Yemen and Saudi Arabia. On Tuesday, Kerry made a historic visit to Somalia, becoming the first top-ranking U.S. diplomat to visit the war-torn country. After 20 years of chaos and chronic violence, the Somali capital has become much safer in the last few years. But the government is still dealing with suicide attacks by Al-Qaeda-linked militant group Al-Shabaab. In remarks upon his arrival on Tuesday, Kerry expressed his hope Somalia will make further progress, saying the next time that he comes, he will have to be able to just walk downtown. And that's it on CoreTV Primetime News tonight. Before we go, a quick reminder of our major stories. The impeachment drama rocking Enugu has moved to Niger State. The National Broadcasting Commission and Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria has said the June deadline for digitization of broadcasting in Nigeria is no longer feasible. And finally, Fiscal Responsibility Commission has appealed against plans to scrap it, asked for tougher laws. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. On behalf of the entire news crew, I am Ebuloma Adekunle, wishing you a pleasant night rest.